Chosen ones. 3 cosmic reasons you never fit any religion. Have you ever looked around sitting silently in a temple, a church, a mosque, a synagogue, and thought something is missing? Have you ever bowed your head in prayer, repeated the ancient words, sung the sacred songs, and yet felt an aching emptiness inside, as if your spirit were standing outside the building, waiting for you to notice? If you have, it's not because you are broken, it's because you are one of the chosen ones. And today, I want to take you into a truth so profound, so liberating, that it might just explain every moment of that quiet dissonance you've carried all your life. There are 3 cosmic reasons you never fit any religion, and these reasons are not flaws in you, they are the fingerprints of your soul's highest calling. When I was younger, I tried with all my heart to belong. I bent myself into shapes that didn't fit. I recited dogmas I didn't believe, hoping that if I just tried harder, if I just prayed louder, if I just surrendered more, the feeling of exile would finally disappear. But it never did. The harder I tried, the lonelier I felt. Deep down, somewhere beyond words, I sensed that I wasn't rejecting the Keknikedienches humanity had built around it. Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever wondered why, no matter how beautiful the rituals, how ancient the traditions, something inside you whispered, there is more?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
The first cosmic reason you never fit into any religion is because your soul remembers freedom. Long before you entered this body, long before you took on a name, a culture, a history, you were pure consciousness. You were vast, limitless, radiant. You flowed with the all. You spoke the language of the stars and the rivers and the winds. You did not worship the divine, you were the divine, expressing itself moment by moment. Religion, beautiful as it can be, often tries to put the infinite into a finite box. It tries to define what cannot be defined, to explain what can only be experienced. And when you tried to step into that box, your soul softly rebelled, not out of arrogance, but out of memory. Memory of a time when you knew yourself as boundless. Memory of a love so total, so pure that no creed could contain it. If you have ever felt like you were born for a freedom too vast for any system to hold, then hear this now, you were right. The second cosmic reason you never fit into any religion is because you came here to build bridges, not walls. Organized religion, at its worst, divides. Use versus them, saved versus damned, right versus wrong. But you were born with a heart too wide to hate. A vision too broad to exclude. Deep within you is a blueprint for unity, for oneness, for a world where every path is honored, every soul is sacred, every expression of the divine is celebrated. You didn't come here to choose sides. You came here to dissolve them. You didn't come here to proclaim one way as the only way. You came here to say, all rivers lead to the sea. This is why you could never fully pledge allegiance to a single tradition. Your soul sees the truth woven through them all, like golden threads shining behind the veils of language, culture, and ritual. You sense that the real temple is life itself, that the real prayer is love, that the real worship is wonder. The third cosmic reason you never fit into any religion is because you are here to awaken new levels of consciousness. You are a frontier soul, a pioneer of spirit. You are not here to preserve the old structures. You are here to birth the new ones. And the path of a pioneer is lonely, confusing, and often misunderstood. While others find comfort in repetition, you feel called to exploration. While others seek safety in certainty, you crave the fire of mystery. While others ask for rules, you ask for truth. And truth, real truth, is not static. It is alive. It evolves. It breathes. It demands that we meet it anew in every moment. Can you feel how different that is from memorizing ancient laws? Can you feel how revolutionary your very existence is in a world still addicted to spiritual formulas? I know it's not easy. I know there have been moments when you questioned yourself, when you feared you were lost, when you wished you could just belong like everyone else. But what if your inability to belong was never a curse, but a calling? What if your exile was actually your initiation? What if your loneliness was the sacred space in which a new world could start to grow? Because here's the deeper truth. The chosen ones are not chosen by a God sitting on a throne, picking favorites. We are chosen by our own souls. Before we ever take a breath, we are chosen for missions so vast, so vital, that they cannot be contained within the narrow walls of human institutions. We are chosen to be the bridges across the chasms of division, the living temples in a world that has forgotten how to kneel before life itself, the breathing prayers in a world that has reduced prayer to empty words. And so I ask you now, from the deepest place within me to the deepest place within you, are you willing to embrace the enormity of who you are? Are you willing to trust the call of your soul over the noise of the world? Are you willing to live as a free being in a world that desperately wants you to stay small? Because if you are, then your journey is just beginning. And in the next part of this exploration, we are going to dive deeper into what it truly means to live beyond the walls of religion, to walk the wild, beautiful, terrifying path of direct connection with the divine. A path with no map, but infinite guidance. A path with no dogma, but endless revelation. The wild path, walking with the divine without walls. Once you realize that your soul could never be confined by human-made boundaries, a new and wild path opens before you. It is not paved with certainty. It is not lined with clear signs or neatly written doctrines. It is raw, vibrant, alive, a living, breathing journey where every step is a dialogue with the divine. Walking this path asks more of you than any religion ever could. It demands your whole being, your whole heart, your whole truth. And yet, it offers something that no set of rules can ever bestow, the direct, unfiltered experience of the sacred whispering through every atom of existence. When you walk without walls, you begin to see God, the universe, the source, the infinite, whatever name feels small enough to hold the unnameable everywhere. In the laughter of a child, in the fury of a storm, in the silence between your own heartbeats. You no longer need intermediaries to tell you how to connect. You no longer need sacred buildings to remind you of holiness. You realize that every moment is a temple, every breath is a prayer, every experience is an initiation. And when you live this way, life stops being something you endure or control. It becomes something you dance with, something you surrender to, something you love with the ferocity of 1,000 suns. But let's be honest, this path is not easy. It strips you of false security. It removes the comforting illusion that if you just follow the rules, you'll be safe. It asks you to trust your own connection to the divine more than you trust the opinions of others. It invites you to move when your soul says move, and to stay when your mind screams for escape. Walking the wild path means being willing to be misunderstood, even abandoned. It means being willing to lose the approval of the world in order to gain the intimacy of your own spirit. It means becoming so rooted in your own inner knowing that no external storm can uproot you. I remember vividly the first time I truly stepped onto this wild path. It was not during a grand spiritual ceremony or a mystical vision. It was in a moment of utter despair, when all the structures I had clung to for identity and meaning crumbled around me. In that rawness, that terrifying emptiness, I heard a voice not outside of me but within. A voice that said, "You were never meant to fit the mold. You were meant to break it. It was then that I understood the path would not be handed to me. I would have to carve it with my own hands, my own heart, my own blood and tears and laughter. And so will you. When you choose this path, you begin to develop a different kind of faith, not blind faith in someone else's story, but radical faith in your own unfolding. You learn to trust the signs that show up in your dreams, in your gut feelings, in the synchronicities that seem too perfect to dismiss. You start to realize that the divine is not some distant ruler watching from above. It is the very life force breathing through you, guiding you, loving you in ways deeper than any doctrine could articulate. You discover that true prayer is not begging for favors, but opening yourself to be used as a vessel for love, for creation, for transformation. And yet, no matter how far you walk this wild path, there will be moments of doubt. Moments when you long for the simplicity of belonging to a group, for the comfort of someone else's certainty. In those moments, you must remember that your loneliness is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of leadership. It is a sign that you are forging a new trail through the forest, one that others will one day find and follow. You are not lost. You are pioneering. You are clearing a way where there was no way before. So I ask you now, with all the love and urgency I can muster, are you willing to walk without walls? Are you willing to be a living temple, a moving prayer, a breathing scripture written not in ink but in experience? Are you willing to let life itself be your sacred text, your holy communion, your endless revelation? Because if you are, then prepare yourself. The wild path will challenge everything you thought you knew. It will demand that you die to the old self again and again, only to be reborn more luminous each time. It will strip away your masks, your defenses, your illusions, until only the pure, radiant truth of your being remains. It will not promise you comfort, but it will offer you something infinitely greater: the direct, ecstatic, terrifying, liberating encounter with the mystery itself. And as you walk, you will meet others, kindred spirits, fellow chosen ones, souls who also heard the call and dared to answer. You will recognize them not by the labels they wear, but by the light in their eyes, the fire in their hearts, the freedom in their laughter. You will know them by the way your soul sighs with relief in their presence, as if saying, "Ah, there you are. I have waited so long." Together you will weave a new tapestry of spirituality, one not based on fear, but on love, not on separation, but on unity, not on rigid dogma, but on the living, breathing truth that the divine is too vast, too wild, too beautiful to ever be trapped by human hands. This is the invitation before you. This is the wild path rising up to meet you. Will you step forward? Will you trust the voice calling from beyond the known? Will you become the living bridge between heaven and earth? Because if you do, your life will no longer be a search for the sacred. Your life will become the sacred outsider. Why you were always meant to walk alone first. There is a profound and painful truth that every chosen one eventually faces before you can walk with others. You must first learn to walk utterly alone. Not because you are cursed, not because you are unworthy, but because solitude is where the deepest initiation happens. In the silence of separation, in the vastness of not belonging, you encounter the raw essence of your own soul. It is in this sacred loneliness that you shed the false skins of expectation and identity. It is here, in the wilderness where no voice but your own can be heard, that you meet the divine not as an inherited story, but as a living presence that rises from within you. Many of us, when we first awaken to the calling beyond religion, feel abandoned. We look around and see communities bound tightly by shared beliefs and rituals, and we wonder why we cannot find our place among them. We ache for a tribe, a home, a circle where we no longer have to explain the strange fire that burns in our hearts. But every time we try to settle, every time we try to conform, something inside us withers. This is not a failure. It is the sacred hand of destiny pulling us back onto the path of solitude, where the real work can begin. Have you ever felt that piercing loneliness, that ache to belong somewhere, anywhere, and yet known deep down that you could not lie to yourself just to feel accepted? The experience of being an outsider is not a punishment, it is a preparation. When you walk alone, you are forced to anchor yourself not in external validation, but in inner truth. You are stripped of the comforting illusions that someone else can give you meaning, someone else can give you God. You become a seeker, not of doctrines, but of direct experience. You become a builder, not of temples made of stone, but of temples made of spirit. And slowly, painfully, beautifully, you learn that your belonging is not in a group, not in a name, not in a tradition. It is in the vast, infinite embrace of existence itself. Walking alone also sharpens your vision. Without the noise of collective belief systems clouding your sight, you begin to see with the eyes of the soul. You notice the sacred patterns woven into the everyday. You hear the secret music that plays beneath the surface of all things. You realize that every sunset, every tear, every breath is a direct communication from the infinite. You come to understand that you were never truly alone. You were simply being retuned to a deeper frequency, one that most of the world is too busy, too afraid, too distracted to hear. And yet, this path is not about permanent isolation. It is about transformation. Because once you have walked alone long enough, once you have burned away the illusions and reclaimed the truth of who you are, something miraculous happens. You no longer seek a tribe to complete you. You become the tribe. You no longer search for a temple to shelter you. You become the temple. You no longer pray to find the sacred outside of you. You realize you are the sacred, embodied and alive. And from that place of wholeness, you naturally attract others who have walked their own solitary paths. Together, not through need but through abundance, you begin to weave a new kind of community, one based on freedom, not fear, on authenticity, not conformity, on love, not control. This is the hidden purpose of your loneliness. This is why you didn't fit into the old structures. This is why you had to walk through the desert of separation. You were being prepared to be a beacon, a guide, a living reminder that belonging does not come from fitting in, it comes from becoming who you truly are. Your aloneness was never the end, it was the beginning of your real connection. A connection so deep, so pure, so powerful that it transcends all surface differences and touches the eternal in every soul you meet. So I ask you now, in the soft light of this deeper knowing, can you honor the sacredness of your outsider's journey? Can you bless the loneliness that forged you into a vessel strong enough to carry the living light of truth? Can you trust that every tear you shed in isolation was watering the soil of a future you cannot yet fully see? Because if you can, then you are ready to step into the next phase of your awakening, ready to move from solitary seeker to living lighthouse, ready to embody the cosmic, boundaryless, infinite love that called you to this path in the first place. Your solitude was never a detour. It was the way. It was the fire that burned away everything false so that only the real, the eternal, the luminous could remain. And now, as you stand at the threshold of this new chapter, the question is not, will anyone walk with me? The question is, am I willing to walk as my full, radiant self, whether others join me or not? Because the truth is, when you walk in your full light, you are never truly alone. You are walking with stars, with ancestors, with the breath of the universe itself moving through you. The final unveiling, Becoming the living proof of limitless spirit. There comes a moment, after all the wilderness wandering, after all the stripping away of false belonging, when something extraordinary happens. You stop searching. You stop striving. You stop asking for permission to exist as you are. Instead, you realize that you, in your rawness, in your imperfection, in your vast, untamable soul, are already the living proof of a spirit that cannot be caged. You realize that you were never meant to fit into the old forms, because you came here to embody something new, something ancient, and yet reborn through you. You are not here to explain yourself to those who demand you shrink. You are here to be the living, breathing evidence that the divine is too infinite, too wild, too radiant to ever be confined by human hands. Becoming the living proof is not about declaring yourself better, wiser, or more enlightened than those still entangled in systems you have outgrown. True awakening is marked by humility, by a deep tenderness for all beings still finding their way. You understand that every soul is on its own sacred timeline. You recognize that religion, tradition, and structure have played important roles for many, offering scaffolding where otherwise there would have been collapse. You no longer need to fight the old. You simply become so fully alive, so vividly free, so unmistakably connected to the source that your existence itself becomes an invitation, not a demand, not a sermon, just a presence so authentic that others feel something ancient stir within the memory of their own limitless spirit. To live as this living proof means you must root yourself deeper than ever before. You must anchor not in external circumstances, but in the unshakable knowing that you are always held by something far greater than the fleeting structures of this world. It means that when storms come and they will, you remain standing, not because you are untouched by pain, but because you have learned to draw strength from the infinite wellspring within you. It means that when others misunderstand you, project onto you, even abandon you, you do not collapse into bitterness. You bless them, and you keep walking. You keep shining. You keep loving, because you no longer derive your worth from their understanding. You derive it from the living spirit pulsing in your own veins. And here is the most beautiful secret. When you live this way, you do not have to preach change. You are the change. Your life becomes a silent revolution. Your joy becomes contagious. Your peace becomes disruptive. Your freedom becomes a mirror in which others glimpse their own imprisoned brilliance. Some will be drawn closer. Some will recoil. Both are holy. Both are part of the unfolding, the great weaving of consciousness that is happening through you, through all of us who dared to remember. So I ask you now, at the culmination of this journey, are you willing to stop apologizing for your fire? Are you willing to stand so unshackably in your truth that your very breath becomes a prayer of liberation? Are you willing to live not as a seeker endlessly searching, but as a soul who knows it is the treasure it once sought? Because if you are, then you have already crossed the threshold. You have already become the embodiment of what no religion could fully capture, no book could fully contain, no building could fully house. You have become a living poem, written by the hand of the infinite itself. Your life, messy, magnificent, imperfect, radiant, is the new scripture. Your heart is the altar. Your breath is the hymn. Your love is the revolution. You are not here to fit the world's mold. You are here to shatter it simply by existing. You are not here to argue about whose path is right. You are here to walk your path so boldly that others remember they have one too. You are not here to find the divine outside of you. You are here to reveal that it was never separate, never distant, never withheld. You are the proof. You are the unveiling. You are and always have been the limitless spirit made flesh. And now the only thing left is to live it.